Today I have something new and fresh for you, okay? So most of the time I interview people that have left academia and gone into various fields or even started their own businesses. But something I haven't done on the channel yet is interview somebody who is still in academia. And so in today's episode, I'm interviewing somebody who is still in academia but who has built a very successful side business. It's doing really well, and if they decided that they wanted to leave academia today, they would do okay. They would do very, very okay. All right. And so if you want to listen to that interview, stay tuned as I interview Dr. Ramon Goings. There's a quick PSA. If you're not already on my email newsletter, I'm inviting you to join my email newsletter as my way of saying thank you. I'll send you a free video on 3 tweaks you can make to your LinkedIn profile to make it stand out. So check that out. I'm going to leave it in the description below. Let's go right into the interview. All right, excited to have Dr. Goings with me today, and we're going to jump right into it. Dr. Goings,
tell us.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it as well. So tell us about your educational background. You have a very interesting educational mix. I love it. I enjoy what you also put out with your done dissertation business. And we're going to be talking about that more in today's show. But tell us about your educational background.
So my educational background, I have a undergraduate degree in music education from Lynchburg College, now the University of Lynchburg. So I went to college undergrad with the aspirations to become Quincy Jones. And so if you know who Quincy Jones is, he's a music producer. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be the guy who created the music of Thriller. So Michael Jackson was my favorite artist. I used to ask my grandma, who's the person that made the music? I didn't care about Michael. I wanted to know who did the music. And so she said Quincy Jones. And I found out that Quincy was a trumpet player. So I learned how to play a trumpet. And then I learned that he had a background like music arranging. I didn't have that. So I thought, when I was going to school, all major in music. And so that's what I did. And I did music education as my backup plan, just in case the music industry thing didn't work out. And what ends up happening is I go to undergrad, they put you in the classes with kids, and I start loving working with kids. So it like moved my whole trajectory to actually becoming a teacher. So then from there, I started teaching music, and I got interested in supporting students who were experiencing trauma. So then I went back and got a master's degree in human services with a focus in clinical counseling. And then from there, I finally, decided like, hey, I want to become the principal that takes over the school. And I thought that since I was so young at the time, I got my master's like 22. I thought, I needed a doctorate. And so little did I know the doctorate had nothing to do with me really becoming a principal. It had a lot of different other things to do with research and all those other aspects. And so I actually went back to school and I got a doctorate in urban educational leadership from Morgan State University. So I've been in different disciplines. So I went from music to kind of counseling to urban education. So I've seen it all and been in different places.
Amazing. I've been in different places. I love it. And I feel like, I was reading something this week, and the person who had written it was saying that it actually, what you have is really, really valuable, because when you have different educational experiences, and especially when you study different subjects, actually that makes you more likely to come up with more unique ideas, because you tend to marry ideas from all of these disciplines that somebody that has only studied counseling or only studied music or only studied urban education may come up with. So that's, I love that you're sharing that with us. So what do you do today with all this experience behind you? What do you do today?
So I always say I have two dual roles, right? And so I always say my daytime job, I'm actually I just got tenured effective like 2 weeks ago. So I'm a tenured professor. Thank you so much. So I'm a tenured college professor. I'm an associate professor in a language literacy and culture doctoral program at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So daytime, I'm a faculty member, do all the things that faculty do, write, publish, teach, all those things. But I also own, and my wife and I co-own a business called Done Dissertation, where we help doctoral students across the world get through this dissertation process. Because we know a lot of students get through the doctoral coursework, and then they get to writing the dissertation, and next thing you know that they fall off. And that's why we see 50% who finished their doctoral program. And so Done Dissertation is all about demystifying the process so that they can finish in 1 year or less. And that's what I do kind of. I used to say it was on the side, but it's not on the side. It's just I do in tandem with my faculty role.
Absolutely. So you have this wonderful tenured faculty position, which, I really want to congratulate you on, because it's not easy to get tenure, number one, and it's not easy to get tenure as a Black person, number
Yeah,
two.
for sure.
So being able to do those two things, that's amazing. Congratulations. I'm so when I saw you post it on LinkedIn, I was like, I'm so proud of him. Anyway, so exciting. But also you have this business that you're running in tandem. I like how you said it's not a side business anymore. It used to be a side business. And the last time I spoke with you, when you shared, the income that you were getting from that business, it's already probably, full time, more than full time income.
Sure.
So share a little bit why you started the business, and how maybe people who want to do something like you're doing, they don't want to necessarily quit their day jobs, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they are in academia, maybe they're in industry, they're doing something, but they really want to start that business that takes off, that does well, that that they know is a good full-time income on the side in tandem, that if they ever decide that they wanted to leave that 9 to 5 or full-time job, they would be able to easily transition to that. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started done dissertation actually when I was a doc student. So it's crazy to believe, like I've been a tenured faculty member. Like I've written, when I went up for tenure, I had like 65 publications. So like I've been excelling at writing. But when I started my doc program, I was a bad writer. Literally, I had an experience my first year in the doc program. I wrote a paper. I submitted it. I thought it was good because I got bachelor's, master's degree. I thought I was a good writer. I submitted and my professor reads through page 3. He puts an X on the whole page. And then in the margins, this is back when folks are actually like giving you handwritten feedback. He said, you need to see a writing coach and editor in order to improve this. And so I got that back, and like people who might be hearing this, you might be like, man, that was messed up. And I sure enough thought so. And at that point, sometimes you have to make a decision in life. Either you just sulk and do nothing, or you change and you put the work in. And I said, well, I'm going to make the change and put the work in. So literally, I started studying the craft of writing. I read in education, counseling, psychology, anthropology, engineering to see how writers write. I used to highlight vocabulary words, like all these things to really study the craft of writing, to a point where I got really good at it. As I started going through my doc program, I actually started to publish. I was actually out publishing my professors, even the one that wrote that big X. Like I've out published him to right now. And so when I was going through my program, those professors were seeing me make this transformation, and they were like, hey, can you work with my students who are just starting in the program to help them? And so initially, like most people do when you start a business, you're not knowing it's a business. And so I'm editing people's papers for free. Meanwhile, I'm writing my dissertation. I'm doing coursework. I'm doing all those things in addition to helping, like at this point, probably like 5 to 10 people with their papers as well. But what I found is that when I would do edits, they would then come back to me and say, hey, Ramon, why did you put this comment here for me to do this? Like, what was the reasoning behind that? And so I found I was doing a lot more coaching than editing. And so with that, it evolved. I started as an editor. I edited dissertations, and then it evolved to coaching. And I found there were so many people that needed help, particularly at the dissertation phase. They started to work with me. They saw what I was doing, and they were like, hey, go see Ramon. He can help you. And that's how Dissertation was birthed. I just started helping folks, as an editor. Then I helped them with coaching. It started out one-on-one coaching. Then my clientele is what will happen when you start in a service-based business. When you're doing one-to-one, you will get, if you're good and you start getting clients, you will build. And I wasn't advertising at this point. It's all word of mouth. And my clientele base had grown so much that I had to change over to a group format to help more people. And that's really like the evolution of Dissertation, from something free to now something that's, making, multi 6 figures a year for us.
Absolutely. Wow, what an incredible story. So it's something that you had as a problem, you solved it for yourself, you
Correct.
mastered the art, and then you became somebody that solves that same problem for others. And one of the things that I've had a few entrepreneurs who've come on the Bold PhD, and one of the things we always talk about is that ultimately a business is simply solving a problem that people have. And you found that problem and solved it. So you started within your doctoral program, coaching others, editing for others, and that's how the business was basically born. How
Yeah.
did you continue to carry it through? Because obviously, once you were done with your doctoral program, you continue to run down dissertation, and it's done really well. So, what would you say are some of the elements or what you've learned on this journey? I know one thing I took from my conversation with you a few months back, I think, was the fact that you invest heavily in coaching. And I have done that as well, but maybe not to the same level. But let's maybe talk about how you've been able to grow from there, from the student business to the full-blown business that Done Dissertation is right now.
And so I'm gonna give a story to kind of segue into answering your question, right? So as a kid, I used to go with my mom everywhere, right? And we would go all over the city. We would walk everywhere, and then every day, at a certain time period, I can remember, I'm little at this point, we will walk into this building. It was called the Yearwood Center. I'm from Stamford, Connecticut. It was this community center. I used to love going there because at the bottom floor, there was, you could smell chlorine. So I knew if I was going to the Yearwood Center, there was a pool, I'm going in the pool. But a lot of the times, my mom would bring me upstairs to the second floor, and I would have my coloring book, and I'd be sitting there coloring, and she's in a meeting, she would call it. She's like, I got to go to this meeting. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm coloring in the back. And I never knew why I was going to these meetings, but they must be important. I'm going every day. And I'm sitting in there. I'm not really paying attention until one day I'm listening and I hear someone say, hi, my name is Kathy and I'm alcoholic. And then the people, if you've ever been to an AA meeting, they say, hi, Kathy. And I'm like, well, what am I doing? What's going on? And so, this experience, I'm going to AA meetings with my mom, right? But in this meeting, always say to folks, get back to investing in yourself. All it takes is one day to make a decision to make a change, right? And so I know for my mom, July 6, 1990, she made a change that she wanted to be clean and sober. And so when I was seeing that, I'm like, oh, you just got to you got to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to put all into it. And then I find that what she would do when we go to these meetings, there was like this grumbling one time I was there and people kept saying 90-90, 90-90. I'm like, what does 90-90 mean? And what they were saying is that you get like this award almost if you go to 90 meetings in 90 days. So basically, if you're consistent with something for 90 days, that the outcome you get, celebrated. And so that taught me, like, if I make one change and I invest in myself and I do something consistently for 90 days at least, I can get the outcome that I want. And that's how I approach business. So I'm always with the mindset that I'm going to invest first to get the things that I don't have. Because when I saw my mom's journey, it was just basically like, one, you have to have a belief that's something bigger than what you currently have. Because I think as a business owner, when you're thinking about investing in your business, it comes first to mindset, the foundation. And then secondly, you have to have this idea that you're willing to invest in a process that will get you to somewhere you can't get yourself. And then lastly, that you have a community of people that will push you to get to where you need to go. And so with that, when I'm thinking about my business, I got into a point as a business owner where I got a little stagnant. And I couldn't really see how am I going to grow Done Dissertation. My wife always used to joke with me. She used to say, Ramon, like, I want to work for the business. Like, she's in corporate, she's doing her thing in corporate. She's a vice president of a company at the time. She's like, I want to work for the business. And I said, I can't see it. It literally took me to go to and invest in myself to be able to see what the vision could be, because I worked with somebody who had been to where I was trying to go. And I always say for folks, you got to invest in yourself. I think it's the best return that you can get is in like personal development. So with Done Dissertation, the first coaching program I did was called Impact and Income with Dr. Robin Jackson. She teaches basically folks how to build the foundation of an education consulting company. I did that first. I put money in to invest, and I'm always like, how do I get a 3-to-1 at least return on my investment? I invested, I saw the return. Then from there, I wanted to write my book called 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation. And I knew how to do it in academia with traditional publishers, but I didn't know anything about self-publishing. So then I was like, I need to find somebody who has that expertise to get me to where I want to go. And then I worked with Jasmine Womack, and she taught me how to not only write the book, but then how to market and, propel the book. So literally, because of the system I invested in, I sold 200 copies first month that 14 Secrets to Done Dissertation came out. And now we're at this point, we'll sell close. We're almost at 1,000. So in a year's time frame, just to kind of give folks the perspective. And then from there, I wanted to turn from one-to-one to group coaching. So again, I invested in a business development coach. And all these things, I'm always looking at how do I get a return? And I think a lot of folks think about it as a bill. And I'm always like, how do I invest that so I can get the return? Because once you get the information, you never lose it. And your return is infinite forever. And so that's my journey around investing and why I think a lot of folks should definitely consider. And I'm a proponent of it. I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't invest in myself to get help.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's so many nuggets and lessons to pick from that. One of the things that I want to chip in here is for a lot of people starting a business, right, getting into entrepreneurship. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, well, I don't know if I have the money to invest in myself right now. What would you say to somebody like that? What steps can those people take?
I think first it's like I said, when I looked at my mom's perspective, it's like one day you have to make a decision. Are you going to change or not? And I see a lot of folks that I always give this analogy of a swimming analogy. I see a lot of people that will drown in their problem rather than swim with a solution. And so what I mean by that is a lot of folks will say like, hey, I don't have the money to invest. Or I don't have any money. But I always ask them, well, what's your income goal? And let's say, for instance, they say, oh, my income goal, this next year, I want to make $100,000. Well, I'm like, if you don't invest in yourself, you're literally wasting $100,000 by not putting money in to get the knowledge you need to get it. So it's like, you're going to lose either way. So I'd rather you just put the money in and you do the work to get it. Because I think when we peel back the layer, I think when people have that comment, they're scared because they're scared of failing. It's not about the money. It's about, do they really believe that they can get the outcome that they will get if they participate in whatever program it is. So I really tell people to look internal. And then for folks who are really like, I don't have the money, like scrounge around and get it. Like PayPal got all these programs. You get like free financing for 6 months. Like, ask friends and family, get a loan from somebody, scrape around. I see folks, I had somebody who wanted to join my program and they literally went on like Instagram. They did like a campaign and they had their Cash App and their Venmo. And they got sponsors from all over the place to pay for the program for them. So like, you can be as creative as you want. That's why I say you can either swim with a solution, you just figure it out and swim, or you just drown and you stay in the same place you are right now.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. I love the scrounge around and find it, because I'm one of those people. I will literally like, back in the day, I literally like find money from here, and then be like, okay, we're going to get this course, so we're going to get this thing, and it's going to help me get where I need to get. So what maybe I think I've chatted with people about like maybe like a big challenge that you've been through as you've run this business, and how you've overcome it.
I think the biggest challenge I had probably to date was changing from one-to-one to group coaching.
Okay.
And I think that came down to ego, to be quite honest. I thought that I was the sauce of the company as to why this thing operated, versus saying I actually have a proven system that helps people get through. Once it was a mindset shift I had to make. Again, I thought that, oh my God, if I move this to group, I'm not gonna have this one-on-one interaction like we're having right now. They're not gonna get it. But once I made that move, and all I did, it required me to unpack what it was in my head to create a curriculum. Once I created the curriculum, it was all of my things I would do on a one-on-one session, just where everybody can have access to it. Once I made that shift, it allowed me to leverage myself and grow the company and scale. But that was the biggest challenge I faced so far, was like making that shift, because it was scary. I thought, well, people are coming here, to work with me. But what I had to get over, and I think a lot of folks who are, running businesses have to kind of recognize that it ain't about you, it's about the solution. So people don't need to interact with you. Imagine if there was something that they needed that you can just solve tomorrow that didn't require them. They don't care what the cost is, as long as it solves their problem, they're good. And so once I made that mindset shift, that was really the key to unlocking success for us.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Dr. Ramon Goings, tenured professor, also runner of or owner of an education consulting business. This is really exciting. It was really exciting to chat with you. Now, before we wrap up, one of the things I wanted to ask is, can you give somebody that's writing their dissertation right now, because a majority of the people that watch this channel are PhD students and doctoral students, and they want to be able to finish up, right? And the dissertation is always standing in everybody's way. So what are like 3 quick tips that you would give to somebody that is in that place where they're almost done, where they're having trouble writing their dissertation? What would you tell them to help them move it along?
So I would say first things first is don't try to be perfect. A lot of doc students go into this trying to get everything right because we're conditioned in education to have the right answer. The doctoral program, you probably all have gotten this response from a professor. When you ask them a question, they say, it depends. Mm-hmm. And so with that, you have freedom to kind of do whatever you want to do in research, as long as you have a rationale. So I hope first things first is that you don't want to be perfect. That's not the goal. I always say you want to get to 80% and allow your committee and folks to push you to the 100%. So that's step 1. Step 2 is that you need to be in constant communication with the people. I call it the 3P formula. You need your people, the process, and to understand to have a great product. And so your people, you got to make sure that you have the right committee members in place. Make sure your chair is there to support you. Make sure that you have accountability partner. Make sure you have what I call reality check partner. So someone who's going to be like, you know what? You're doing too much today. Like, you've been studying too long. Take a break. You need those people. So you definitely got to have your done dissertation, I call team, in place. The second part is that you got to understand the process. For a lot of folks, they get caught up because they don't understand what's happening, and then they move wrong in the process and it delays them. So make sure that you understand the process, and if not, just ask questions, and make sure you get the answers that you need. And then in terms of writing the actual product, I think that's the least important. May seem strange, but I think the writing part is actually the least. It's all about the mindset and having the right people in place. But with your product, make sure that coming to your chair and committee with a clean version of your document. You don't want your chair to give you comments on like APA or like the citation format is off. It distracts them. So hire an editor, get support. Like, don't go through this thing, especially if you're trying to get through quickly. Like, you want to go to your chair with a clean copy, because what will happen is they'll give you feedback on the actual document versus like give you grammar feedback, because you definitely don't want that. And then lastly, I will conclude is like invest in support if you can't do it yourself. Remember, from my mom's story, you have to make a decision to change. And then also you have to do things consistently and get the support in a process that will get you to a place you can't on your own. So it makes no sense to throw away thousands of dollars in tuition when you can go get help. And so we're one of the people that can definitely do that, the done dissertation. So make sure you definitely reach out to us. We can help you get to where you want to go. We want to see doc students get out of these programs and stop paying all this money in tuition.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was such a great conversation, and I'm so excited that you came to share this with us. If people want to find you, people want to reach out to you, Dr. Goings, about anything about entrepreneurship or even just about writing their dissertations, where can they find you? I'll make sure to put that information on the screen and also in the description of this video.
Yeah, so one thing, I have a free guide that folks can grab for my doc students that might be watching. So you can text #free, #FREE to 301-701-2466. Again, we can put that in the notes. So I'll make sure we have that for folks. And then to reach out to us at Done Dissertation, if you just find us we're on pretty much every platform at Done Dis Coach, DONEDISSCOACH. And then if you're looking for me, you just type in Dr. Ramon Goings. You'll find me on all the platforms as well to reach out. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you all on entrepreneurship and getting folks through the doctoral process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Goings.
Thank you again for the invitation.